This is the Workload Cup. This is a really simple analogy and it is not going to be exhaustive, but it can be helpful to start to think about how to manage workload and training stressors and ultimately building a bigger cup, more workload, the ability to handle stress. So, if we think about the things that impose stress upon us, and by stress, I mean challenge in a way that disrupts homeostasis and ultimately builds our capacity over time, there are life stressors, there are training stressors. Everything pretty much boils down to like a life stressor. But really simply, if we just put them into a couple categories, we have life stressors like work, family, social life, news, sleep, nutrition, or lack thereof. Those are the big categories. There's a lot of categories here. This is not meant to be like solve everything. This is start thinking about these things, right? Then we have training, and training can look like a variety of things for people, but it often boils down to lifting weights, running. Things like play are also part of the training experience. Anything that people do that is like physical in nature and hopefully progressive, we would consider training, right? So when we add a stressor to our life, we start to push into the fringes of our capacity, right? So if you look at life, lifting, and then we stack on another thing onto it, or we add in something in the life category, our cup overflowed. So a lot of people, they go from their normal lifting routine into adding running because, running's fun, right? Or they stack the stress of a new job with the stress of another physical pursuit, and they get the cup running over again. So we want to just look at this. The overarching system is being overloaded, and this is not necessarily bad. This is in some ways how we build a bigger cup. The problem is that what people do is instead of modifying and decreasing the stressors in the ways that it can, or eating more, sleeping more, doing some more of the beneficial behaviors that they might have, they just keep pounding themselves into the dirt and they never allow themselves to recover. Now, it depends on a lot of things if this strategy can work or not. In some cases, a lot of people can get a positive effect from just adding some more. But if they add too much, too soon, too quickly, things can be not so bueno. So when we think about the workload cup and how we make it bigger, we want to consider the fact that we have, again, our life stressors, our training stressors, and instead of just throwing more onto the into the cup, we want to maybe decrease some of our lifting if we're going to start running, right? At least temporarily. Or if we're going to start lifting in conjunction with running, we have to manage that. Sometimes things can be really complementary without needing to really do much. A lot of runners who are running maybe 3 to 4 times a week can throw in 1 or 2 sessions of strength training that is, especially if it's not overly exhaustive, in a really beneficial way that helps their running and helps them feel really good. But it is easy to overdo these things, and a lot of humans tend to err on the side of more being better, when more is not always better, better is better. But we can build a bigger cup by seeking healthy behaviors, which is really tricky because, to be honest, sometimes the things we really love and enjoy become like addictive to us. People get addicted to running, they get addicted to lifting, and they want to do them so much because it gives them a sense of calm and it's enjoyable, and it honestly just frankly helps us regulate. But we can do too much of these things, and there's a lot of ways to manipulate that. Like, you can train 5 or 6 days a week if the dosage of that singular session and the overarching period of time that you're maybe training in is something that you can recover from. There's no necessarily hard and fast rules with a lot of this stuff. It depends on how you manage the stressors and your ability to recover those things well. We also want to build positive beliefs, being optimistic, and seeing like that you're doing things that are healthy to you often feeds forward and has really positive belief-oriented effects. We want to manage our mood. We want to sleep as much as we can within reason. We want to eat enough, often more. A lot of times people really start to struggle with things when life stressors get heavy, when physical stressors get heavy, and people don't eat, or they don't eat food that is maybe nutritionally beneficial to them. They also drink or do other coping mechanisms that don't really help. And then we just want to gradually physically load ourselves. We want to go slower than we typically want to. Again, this is hard for people because we want to make as much progress as we can in a certain period of time, but the reality of how we adapt and how this process works is it's not linear and it's not straightforward. A lot of it is listening to the signs and symptoms that you're getting from your body as you go along the way. Now, there's also a lot of gray area in this. If you're surrounded by people who are pushing towards a similar goal as you and you have a lot of resources available for recovery, good things can happen with a lot of training. And honestly, if you're really engaged in enjoying the training process, a lot of good things happen. But we do have physical limitations that we need to be mindful of, and we do have breaking points. And that is the power of really being able to both zoom in on the training process and zoom out from that training process so that you can make good decisions about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. You have to stress things to build tolerance. There is no avoiding that or denying it. But what most of us do is we do too much, too fast, too often, for too long. And so if we can just start to manipulate these things and pull back and be patient, build our cup over time, pour out stressors when we can as well, really good things tend to happen in the long term. In the short term, we often just really struggle because we get greedy with our progress. We want results now, and it can be really hard to be patient. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thanks.